Hello. Hopefully this is audible. Everybody's asleep right now. Uh, I just wanted to address something that's been bothering me. There's one phrase that really bugs me, and when people use it, and it's pretty much any variation of "I've been where you are" or "I know exactly how you feel." Well, because for one, the obvious problem with that is you don't know exactly how someone feels ever. It doesn't matter how similar your experiences are. You're never gonna know exactly how they feel because everybody experiences things differently. But another thing that really bothers me is that people seem to use it as an argument. So the people who say, um, I've been where you are, or I know how you feel, but, and then go on this whole long spiel about how they succeeded and got out of their whatever hardships they professed they had, and use that as a way to tell the person they're talking to that that's how you should do it and you'll be perfectly fine, or basically, or even worse, to dismiss how they're feeling entirely. Like, well, I've been where you are before, and I got through it, and you're just being a baby about this and that and the other thing. You really need to suck it up. And it's just like, this isn't how you're supposed to go about it. You don't tell people that. Um, I recently saw it used in a post that basically said people in the LGBTQA community need to be less egotistical and you need to stop overreacting over things and stop suing people because that's not how you solve problems in the real world. And the person who was writing it said, "I know where you've been. I've been where you are," and it really bothered me because um, the person's a very lovely person, very nice person, um, who's been through quite a lot. But the fact is that they're not a part of the LGBTQA community. Unless you're part of that, you can't tell people you've been where you are. The community is an entirely different branch. You can't say you've been where they are because you haven't. Um, People don't. If you're not in the community, you don't understand. Even if you're an ally, you don't understand. Uh, the LGBTQA community is struggles not only with, there's a whole depression, anxiety, bullying, suicide, extremely high suicide rates. It's upsetting. Um, and we're not even getting to the fact that bullying and not fitting in school was considered a minor problem by quite a few people. I, bullying and bullying and not feeling like you belong to any social group is a huge problem. Don't think it isn't. It's a very big deal. It usually ends in suicide if you do not get help for it. And usually, if you're in school, you don't know how to get help for it. You're not an adult. You don't know how to handle that thing. So you're stuck there getting bullied, and you don't feel like you fit in, and you end up killing yourself. Don't tell me bullying and not fitting in is not a big deal because it is. Um, what the hell? Um, and then there's the whole thing with people who say that who are not gay, who are not trans, who a lot of the time, a lot of people I see saying this, not necessarily the person I was talking about earlier, but just people in general, who say that I know where you've been, I know how it feels, but they aren't a member of the community. They have a support group, they have a church, or they have a loving family, or they have a church, or they have a large group of friends, and they don't really suffer too much discrimination because yes, you can have plenty of problems, but and I'm going to get so much hate for this by saying this, but being white or straight or being white or straight or cisgender or middle class or whatever else, even if you have a really difficult life, you still have advantages over other people. And to tell them that you know where they've been and that you've been where they are, that's disrespectful to them. Personally, it's disrespectful to the entire community because you haven't. Yes, your life may have been really bad, but you've never had it the same as them because you are not a member of their group. Chances are you still had a support group. A lot of the people in the LGBTQA community and the black community and everything else, they do not have a support group. They don't have a church they can go to because they've been shunned from it. They don't have a loving family because they've been more or less disowned, or any number of reasons. You can't tell them you've been where they are. You haven't. Maybe you've been in a similar situation. Maybe they have depression and you have depression too, but you've never been where they are. You can't tell them that. That is not right. That is not kind to them. Don't. Just don't. When you're addressing the LGBTQA community and you've never been a member of that community, don't tell them you know where they've been, because you don't. You have no clue. You don't only have to deal with external battles with churches and people who don't think you're a human being and laws and all this crap. You have to deal with an inner battle as well, because you don't want to feel the way you do, and yet you do, and people act like you should be able to change that. There's a whole inner battle going on that you have no idea about, and you could never fathom, and to tell them that you know where they've been and that you've been where they are is wrong. You can't do that. Don't do that. I'm sorry if I'm getting a bit emotional about this, because it's an emotional subject. You don't tell somebody that when you have no idea what it's like in the community that they're a part of or in their personal lives. It just really bothers me, especially when you aren't a member of the community. That's what really bothers me. Is if you're not a member of the community or the group of people you're saying that to, don't. Especially if they're considered a minority group, because that's a whole different level than anything you've ever experienced. And I'm not saying it's worse. I'm not saying that an individual experience is worse than yours. But the community as a whole, you can't fathom anything they've gone through if you're not a part of that group. So just avoid saying that to anybody. Alright? Just leave that out. If you're going to make an argument about how they're being babies or how they need to just grow up, fine. That's your opinion. That's your right to say that. I personally don't agree that, fighting for your rights makes you an egotistical whiner. But that's my opinion. But don't tell them that you know where they've been, especially if it's just as an excuse to tell them to stop whining. And especially if you're not a part of the community, because that's not right. That's not okay. That is not kind. That is not respectful. That's not sensitive. It's a no-no. Don't do it. Don't tell somebody that you know that you've been where they are and you know what they've gone through when you're not a member of their community, and then proceed to use that as an excuse to explain why, since you got over your problems, they should get over theirs too. Don't. Alright, just don't. This is getting long. Everybody's asleep. I'm getting loud. I've got to go. I'll probably make a longer video on this, or a more concise one that isn't as rambly, some other time with my digital camera, and upload it to my professional YouTube channel. But for now, this is pretty much what I wanted to say. Good night, everybody, and I will see you all later. Bye.